Aloha. Have you ever driven on a street here in Hawaii and wondered where did the name of that street come from? Well, that's why every Thursday, or as we say in Hawaiian, po'aha, we have our Aloha Authentic segment, which helps to answer that question and share the mo'olelo behind the given names. For the month of October, or as we say in Hawaiian, Okakopa, we're highlighting streets that carry the names of our past royals. This week, we're visiting a very busy roadway known as Kapiʻolani Blvd. In the ahupuaʻa of Mānoa, in the moku of Kona here on Oʻahu, lies a street that captures the name of the wife to Hawaii's last male monarch, her name being Julia Kapiʻolani, and the street being Kapiʻolani Blvd. Julia Kapiʻolani was born to Father High Chief Kuhio Kalanianaʻole of Hilo and High Chiefess Kinoiki Kekaulike of Kauai, the daughter of Kauai's last king before their inclusion into the Kingdom of Hawaii. After her first marriage to High Chief Bennett Namakeha, Kapiʻolani remarried to David Kalakaua, who became king to the Hawaiian Kingdom in 1874, giving her the title Queen Consort. Queen Kapiʻolani had contributed a lot to the Hawaiian community, and she is mostly known for her care to others. She was the caretaker to Prince Albert, the son of King Kamehameha IV and Queen Emma, and even established the Kapiʻolani Maternity Home, where Hawaiian mothers and their newborn babies could receive care. However, today we know this as Kapiʻolani Medical Center for Women and Children. Did you know? Now you do.
Very cool. Thanks, Kamaka.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so you said she was given the title of Queen Consort.
Yes.
What is that? What's the difference between a queen and a queen consort?
So a queen is a queen who holds the sovereign power of the monarchy fully. That was resided with Kalakaua, so he held that title of king. Queen consort is really just a wife to the king who holds the sovereign power.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Now, the Kapiʻolani Blvd is named after the queen. Yeah. Is Kapiʻolani Park as well?
Yes, and that's actually one that was dedicated to her during her lifetime. That was given or dedicated to her by her husband, king of the time, King Kalakaua.
Okay, and you mentioned Queen Kapiʻolani taking care of Queen Emma and King Kalakaua IV's son. Were they all kind of friends? Were all the ali'i hanging out together?
So they were. So in that sense was Queen Emma and Kamehameha IV and their son, who only lived to a short age, but Prince Albert. Now, a lot of the ali'i, they knew of each other, but they weren't necessarily in best relationships with each other. Mm-hmm. Now, in this particular scenario, Queen Emma and Queen Kapiʻolani were friends. When Prince Albert had passed away, a lot of it was really under the care of Queen Kapiʻolani during her time, and because of that, Queen Emma, the mother to Prince Albert, kind of started to become not so friendly with Queen Kapiʻolani. So from that point on, they were in troubled times. Mm-hmm. However, reading some stories, some stories share that at a certain point, Queen Emma kind of moved on and included Queen Kapiʻolani into their friendship again. But there definitely was rivalry between some ali'i throughout history.
Well, understandable, especially with a situation like that.
Yeah.
So very neat. Okay, well, cool. Well, thanks for breaking that down and giving us that info.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have a second segment coming up, I hear?
We do have a second segment continuing on that, and we're definitely going to divulge more into Queen Kapiʻolani and who she is and what she's about. We're going to be visiting the Bishop Museum. So we'll make sure you stay tuned as we'll be heading to Bishop Museum to delve into more of this information of one of our royals, Queen Kapiʻolani. So stay tuned. Take Two returns.
Perfect. Be right back.
For the month of October, our Aloha Authentic segment is focusing on streets that carry names of our past Hawaiian royalty. This week, we are highlighting Kapiʻolani Blvd.
The popularly used road is named after the wife of Hawaii's last king, her name being Julia Kapiʻolani. Kamaka Pili spoke with our friends at the Bishop Museum to delve more into the Queen's history.
Yes, good morning. We are here at Bishop Museum. Now, we've been doing Aloha Authentic for almost a year. It's real cool that we can start to expand and talk story with other experts and of course our friends here at Bishop Museum who can give us even more insight to the stories behind these street names. So again, this week we're focusing on Kapiʻolani Blvd, which brings attention to Queen Kapiʻolani, the wife and the Queen Consort to King Kalakaua, who was our last male monarch here in Hawaii. So we're here with DeSoto Brown, who's a historian here at Bishop Museum. Good morning,
Good
Thank you
morning.
very much
Good
for
morning.
coming and talking
Well,
story with
thank
us.
you for coming here to me.
Oh, I mean, I get chicken skin already just thinking about our conversation. But with such a little bit time, can you just give us some history behind Queen Kapiʻolani and what contribution she gave to us?
Well, Queen Kapiʻolani is commemorated here in Honolulu by two major features. The first is Kapiʻolani Park, and that, of course, was created by her husband, King Kalakaua, during her lifetime in the 19th century. She died in 1899. But we also are all familiar with Kapiʻolani Boulevard, and that was created 30 years after her death, so she never saw that. They built that from starting in 1929 up into the 1930s, and of course, as with many things that have changed, the Kapiʻolani Boulevard that was created initially is nothing like what we see today. Now, Queen Kapiʻolani, the person, is, I think, one of the most notable and interesting stories you can tell about her is that she was Hawaii's representative to the 50th anniversary of Queen Victoria's rule in 1887. And Queen Victoria at the time was probably the most powerful monarch, if not ruler, in the entire world because of the size of the British Empire. So Queen Kapiʻolani was accompanied by her sister-in-law, Princess Liliuokalani, because interestingly, Kapiʻolani couldn't speak English very well, which is very unusual for the other royalty of that time period. They were all fluent in both English and Hawaiian. So the two women went first to the United States. They met with the president of the time. The president of the United States had an official state reception at the White House. Then they continued on to England, and Kapiʻolani turned a lot of heads because she had a gown commissioned for this event, which was adorned with peacock feathers. And that was something that made a big impression at home, too, that people remembered her for. So not only was she royal, and not only was she a sophisticated and cosmopolitan person, but she also was fashionable. And that may seem kind of superficial and silly, but not something, not really, because it's something that every Hawaiian at the time was proud of, that their queen was mingling with other royalty internationally, and that she was sophisticated enough to be considered a peer among all of those people. So that's one of the things that Kapiʻolani is famous for.
Now, that particular event, was that when we refer to Queen's Jubilee?
Yes, exactly.
That's the event that they're talking about?
Exactly, exactly. So this was Queen Victoria's Jubilee, not a Hawaiian queen, but the English queen or the British queen. And yet Hawaiians were present at that, and that's why there is a song commemorating both Queen Kapiʻolani and Princess Liliuokalani as attending this event in England.
Now, all the attire that they wore is very Victorian influenced.
Oh, it sure is.
And it came from that time period,
That's
correct?
right. That's why it's called Victorian.
Yeah.
Because it's from the time of Queen Victoria. And I think it's important to remember that the ali'i of that time were very sophisticated people in terms of being able to mingle, as I said, internationally. And they also dressed in fashionable Western style. Of course, Iolani Palace was a very modern structure. It had electricity, it had running water, it had a telephone, before the White House even had those things. So Hawaii was not a little backwater that nobody knew about. It was actually, even in those days, in the 19th century, in the late 19th century, was already known as an important place, was already known in a lot of different places. And the people who ruled it, the ali'i, or the people that we are commemorating, that you're talking about in your segments, were important people internationally.
Well, that was so fast, but there was so much information. Thank you very much,
You're very
DeSoto.
welcome.
So we'll be here throughout this month, as this month we're featuring streets that highlight our ali'i. And who better to talk about than our experts here? So we'll be keeping you informed with the latest, so make sure you keep in tune every Thursday on Aloha Authentic. Reporting live here at Bishop Museum, back to you in the studio.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kamaka. Really neat.